Recording in progress.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of SABA's Listen and Learn series. My name is Adya Kumar. I am one of the members of SABA's Young Lawyers Division, and the YLD is aiming to do these Listen and Learn series videos to give young attorneys a chance to kind of connect with each other and talk about topics that may be relevant or interesting while also delivering it to you in a quick and easy video so that if you are interested in this topic, you have time to tune in and check it out when you have a break in your busy schedules. So thanks so much for taking the time to watch today. A brief intro about myself. I graduated from Northeastern University School of Law in 2022. I worked as a litigation associate in Boston at a big law firm for 2 years, and then I started a clerkship with a judge in the District Court of Massachusetts in 2024. And I'm super excited about the topic we have today. It's about handling transitions and conflicts in clerkships, moving into a clerkship from a different job and moving out of a clerkship into a new job, and kind of, the considerations that go behind that. So I'm excited to introduce you to Sarah Yoon, who is a litigation associate at Sugarman, which is a personal injury law firm. And she's going to chat a little bit with me about some of these topics. And a fun fact, we also used to clerk together, so it's nice to reconnect with Sarah as well. So thanks so much for taking the time, Sarah. Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and kind of what your career has looked like since you graduated law school?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. So I think actually Adia and I followed pretty similar paths. So I went to Boston University School of Law, and I graduated in 2022. I was a summer associate at Wilmer Hale, and so I went back to Wilmer after law school, as a litigation associate. And so while I was there, I was pretty much in general litigation, and so I had a pretty varied practice. I was on an intellectual property litigation case. I did some general commercial litigation, and some pro bono, like prisoner civil rights litigation as well. And then about a year and a half in, I left to clerk for Judge John on the District of Massachusetts, with Adya, for another, I think like year and a half-ish, 15 months. And then after that, I came to Sugarman, which Adya said is it's plaintiff's personal injury firm, a small firm. And I had actually worked here before as a paralegal, before law school. It's kind of what spurred me to go to law school in the first place. And I kept up the work during law school as well. So yeah, I just came back here a little less than a year ago.
That's great. And it sounds like you and I do have really similar paths. Uh, what led you to pursue a clerkship?
As a litigator, it's really hard I feel like everyone should be interested in clerking. It's just beneficial for all aspects of litigation to understand what's going on the other side of the bench, to know what a judge is looking for, to get that substantive experience with writing and research, to see how other lawyers practice. And so I was really curious to see what that experience would be like. And I also, was looking for, I also think that generally a clerkship could be a good opportunity if you're looking for a change of pace or maybe a transition from one role to the next. And so it also kind of served that purpose for me.
Yeah. And when you finally decided to start your clerkship, how did you kind of handle communicating that with your old firm? And what did the transition process look like in terms of conflicts or communication or anything else in that transition period?
Mhm. So actually, I worked together with my old firm to apply to the clerkship. They were very helpful. I mean, Wilmer is super. I was at Wilmer Hill, so they are very supportive of people going to clerk, and it really because it's only beneficial to the firm really, to get those relationships and to have people who clerked come back. And so yeah, they really helped me. I didn't have to. I guess I didn't have to communicate the final decision because we were in touch the whole time. They wrote my letters of recommendation, and helped connect me with other people who had clerked before. So yeah, that was great. And in terms of conflicts, I don't think that there were really many to entering the clerkship. There weren't really many to consider because Judge John was very new to the bench, and so yeah, we were basically starting from a clean slate.
Okay, that makes sense. And when you did join your clerkship, what did you find to be the biggest adjustment that you had to make, kind of going from associate mode into clerk mode?
hmm I think that one thing early on that was a big adjustment was the fact that you are basically, or at least the way that Judge John runs his chambers. I know it's different for every judge, but he gives you a lot of autonomy. And so being completely in charge of managing your own cases, um, eh, I think that that is a big change, especially from being a junior associate at a big firm. Um, you spend a while learning to do what people tell you to do. And so getting those basics down. So yeah, I think being just like being given a whole portion of like the judge's cases and being told to run them, that's a big adjustment. And also coming up with like the initial analysis and plan for each case or for each motion that comes in, and really doing that substantive work on your own. I think that was a big adjustment.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the feeling of being the person who receives the assignments into the person who, handles their own caseload and then kind of has to figure out how to prioritize and manage those things on your own. So that makes a ton of sense to me. When you were about to wrap up your clerkship and you were thinking about your next steps, how did you kind of manage that job searching while you were in your clerkship, and how did you communicate those things with Judge?
hmm so again, here I think Cho is very supportive, and so it didn't really feel like a difficult thing to balance, or something that I felt that I like couldn't. He was very open about talking about what I would want to do, um, and so again, I kind of feel like we helped come to the final decision together, but. Yeah, I it was also, I guess it's an interesting position because I went ended up going back to a firm that I was already in connection with. So yeah. But I think I was kind of continuously keeping in touch also with Wilmer Hale, and speaking with friends and other clerks about what kind of path they were looking at.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice too, to kind of keep those lines of communication very open. I'm sure there's younger attorneys who might feel scared to do that, but I think it's always best to kind of have that clear and open line. And so when you were transitioning out, did you have any other issues pop up in terms of conflicts, or were you keeping track of your cases while you were clerking, and how did that play out for you?
Yeah. So I think yeah. While I was clerking, I was already keeping track of any conflicts with Wilmer and with my current firm, Sugarman, just because I had worked at both of those firms before. And so it was fairly easy and actually for both of those firms, there were conflicts that did come up throughout the clerkship. But it was fairly easy to just flag for the judge and then avoid those cases.
That's great. And now that you're back to being an associate, what has been the biggest adjustment kind of coming back, or is there anything that you feel like you've learned or gained from your clerkship that's helping you now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned and gained so much from the clerkship. There are the tangibles in terms of the real writing and researching experience, but also having the confidence to go into like take on an issue and know that you are capable of analyzing it and understanding it just as well as the other attorneys. Um, I, I think that has been super helpful. Um, I think that in terms of what a difficult adjustment might have been, it's kind of the rest of practice, the more on your feet part. I, After a clerkship, you leave more senior as an attorney, but still without that litigating experience. And so, yeah, I think it's just all been a big learning experience.
Yeah, that sounds great. And do you have any advice for young attorneys or anything else you'd want to add?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think that especially if you are interested in litigation, you should definitely look into clerking. And I think with respect to people interested in clerking, that it's good to stay flexible. I think for maybe for both of us. I mean, some judges have really set schedules and hire really far out and whatever. I think for both of us, it was a little bit more ad hoc, the procedure and the timing. And so, yeah, but it was just, I got hired and then I didn't know when my start date would be for the next several months. But I think that if there is, so I think it's important to be flexible and be open, but if there's a specific judge or like maybe a judge, like a court or like a background that you really want, then that's great too. But again, then it's all the more important to be flexible and also maybe think creatively. I know some people, kept an eye on the new judges being nominated and confirmed, and would reach out themselves um, to get in there and just like basically, yeah, cold email the judges and ask if they wanted anyone for their first batch of clerks or things like that. And or and also it just helps to keep in touch with people throughout your career, and you don't know who will remember you and like tap you or like be a connection, like through groups like SABA, or I'm also part of the Alam. um, it yeah, I think those connections are really helpful to get you to places that you want to get to.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I think especially, keeping up with those connections, but also keeping an eye out for new judges who might be coming in, who might be looking for clerks as well. I think sometimes it's easy to kind of fall back on maybe just looking on Oscar or, what's normally available. But I think that's really great advice as well. But thank you so much for doing this. This is such a great conversation, and hopefully it's helpful to anyone watching. So thanks again, Sarah.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks.